Okay, so the body's been sealed and we've just sanded it down, so it's nice and smooth now, and it's ready for a few coats of primer. Obviously if you were putting a translucent colour on there, then you would just go straight for that. I've not decided what colour I'm going to use, but it's going to be a solid colour, so obviously I'm going to prime it first. We sell white and grey primers. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, which colour you go for. I'm just going to go for a white primer, a few coats, cover it. I'm not going to expect to cover it in the first coat or two. Just let it build up nice and slowly, so you're not, throwing it on there and it's too thick. Just nice thin coats. Give it 20 minutes in between to dry. Come back, spray another coat. Again, it's really important to shake the cans for a couple of minutes. You can even put them in warm water if you like. That will help the solvents to mix inside. And then just a couple of thin coats, 20 minutes in between, and then it should be ready to paint properly. It's a good idea whenever I paint bodies, because sometimes cans have a tendency to fire out a lot of paint in the first little squirt. I always start spraying before I get to the body, which I'll show you in a minute. So I'll start spraying from there, continue that right across, all the way across. In fact, I'm just going to get a glove actually, because it's a bit messy. I'm bound to get covered in it. And it's worth doing the sides first, because the sides can be a bit tricky, so do the sides around the horn first, then concentrate on the front and the back. And I've got my mask as well. Okay, and there we go. As you can see, possibly see, put that down. It's not completely covered by any means. You can still see the wood and the grain through there, so I'm going to let that dry for 20 minutes and then come back, do the same again, another coat. Okay, so the body's had one coat of primer on there. As you can see, it's dried now. It doesn't take long to dry at all, but you can still see the wood grain through there. It's not completely covered. So I'm going to give it another coat, another thin coat, and just see how it looks. I'll keep going until I'm happy that it's completely covered and all white. Okay, so that's 2 coats now, and they're starting to look a little bit better, but it still needs another one, maybe even another 2 coats on there. It's really important to make sure that you get the horns covered and stuff like that. But that's not looking too bad now, so again I'm going to leave that for another 20-30 minutes, come back, put another coat on. Okay, so it's had 2 coats now, it's looking pretty good. We're going to give it one more final coat, and then we should be ready to start adding some colour. Obviously once it's finished we'll leave it overnight, let it to dry fully. Just check that there's no drips or runs on it. No need to sand down unless it feels really rough to the touch, because when you put the colour on, obviously that's going to dissolve into the primer anyway, so it's not really going to make any difference. So unless you get any runs, drips, anything like that, it should be fine. So you shouldn't need to sand it down. There you go, that's looking pretty good now. So I'm going to leave that to dry, come back, just check it tomorrow just to make sure there are no runs or drips or anything. Make sure there are no defects in the paintwork. If there are, I'm going to smooth them out with a bit of 1200 grit again, and then we're going to start to apply the colour.